Welcome to our live audience here in College Station at the MSC. Welcome to our virtual audience. Thank you for being there in Zoom so that you have all the information you need before you start your graduate program at the university. We wish you nothing but the best while you're here. A lot of opportunities to grow, challenge yourself, meet new people, lots of exciting things happen in grad school. So I'm here to talk about the English language proficiency policies, but mostly the resources and a little bit more. So this talk is structured with 3 topics. And at the end of each of the 3 topics, I'll open up for questions from you. A little bit about our program. We are a center. We are a program within the Center of Teaching Excellence. And our mission is to provide, to enhance classroom communication and thereby improving the quality of teaching at the university. So we are linguists by training, and our program is designed to assist international teaching instructors and international faculty who didn't grow up speaking North American English to effectively interact with their audience of primarily North American students. And here at Texas A&M, undergraduates by and far come from Texas. So you'll meet a lot. In our session today, you can expect 3 topics. One of them is discover resources that will help you achieve language certification. That is the university's name for the standard that instructors must reach regarding their oral proficiency, their spoken English. You all are language verified. That was necessary for your admissions process. So that is done. You've obviously achieved some mastery of English. In order to be an instructor, though, there's a separate standard that pertains solely to speech. It doesn't take into consideration factors like your writing ability, speech. So certification is related to speech in English and enhance your ability to communicate across language differences. The second topic is, what are the university's language requirements for instructors? And thirdly, what is the English language proficiency exam? I do not work for testing services, so I'm not an insider to the ELPE, but I certainly have collaborated over the last 4 years with testing services and provide ELPE preparation so that those who go into it stand the best chance of succeeding on their first attempt. So in case some of you have questions or anxiety about that test, I'll include some tidbits of information since that is a very common question. The ELPE is one of the ways that you can achieve certification. It's not the only way, but it's the most economical and popular way for those who don't get pre-certified before arrival. My name is Janessa Payne, and I've been at the university for 10 years now. And my colleague, Dr. Brandon Cooper, you will see if you attend some of our workshops or private consultations, we both have backgrounds in linguistics, second language acquisition in adults. And we have tremendous respect for those who achieve a high proficiency in a second language. Having tried to learn several languages myself and only reaching basic or intermediate levels of those languages. So it takes a lot of courage to teach in a second language, I think. So how can we help you while you're a student here? We can diagnose what features of your speech might be causing difficulty to the North American ear. All right, that's our specialization. Linguistics, phonology, second language pronunciation. So if you are, and I'll explain this later, if you're going to be a teacher, we'd be happy to have one-on-one consultations with you, including diagnostic interviews. If you aren't a teacher, but you want that personal feedback, I encourage you to enroll in our practice group series. And I have some flyers of that to distribute at the end for those who are interested. So you have optional homework assignments in some of these workshops, and if you submit it, you'll get personalized feedback and diagnosis. You know, which intonation pattern or which vocabulary or grammar or consonant or vowel is causing misunderstanding. Our background in language assessment helps us do that diagnosis. We also provide instruction one-on-one, instruction in groups, instruction via software. We provide practice opportunities. We set you up to practice more. So we match you with volunteers who are English dominant, such as American or Texan undergrads, to have extended conversations across a semester. We encourage you to look for opportunities. We suggest opportunities where you can increase the amount of exposure and interaction in English. Let me know if this was the case for you. During the social distancing that was a result of the pandemic, did your English language proficiency improve last year during social distancing? Was that the case for anybody? You think so? Awesome. Okay, her listening was improved because she lost the data of seeing the lips moving. Yes, that's true. We had to really exercise our listening discrimination a little bit better. Raise your hand if you feel that your English proficiency deteriorated during the pandemic because you had fewer opportunities to chat in English. Okay, and for others, it may have stayed the same. I met a student earlier this week, and he said his native language, Chinese, also got worse. English and Chinese got worse because of being isolated. So that's why we really want to encourage you to look for opportunities. We will suggest opportunities to increase your interactions. We're in person again, and now you might have some spontaneous conversations while you're waiting for the elevator or while you're in the line getting your coffee. So I encourage you to look for opportunities. For a few students, we provide another special service. That is, we can allow you to take the ELPE sooner than you otherwise would be allowed. For almost everybody, the wait time between testing in the ELPE and retesting is 3 months. So keep that in mind. You want to do well the first time, otherwise you have to wait 3 months before attempting it again. One exception is if you're in our program with an individual improvement plan, making progress and being faithful to your commitment of about 5 hours per week, we can get you in early. We can give you permission to register early. Okay, you might notice that I have an accent. Everybody has an accent. And even though we spend a lot of time talking about pronunciation, our goal is not accent reduction. One reason is it's not very realistic and it's usually not necessary. And accent is closely tied to our identity. And so you may want to retain features that make you sound like you. And it's okay if your speech reveals something about you that, oh, I was born in this place. I wasn't born in East Texas or Boston or something. There's nothing wrong with an accent. Our goal is comprehensibility. Our goal is that the instructors in particular would be comfortably intelligible. They could speak in a way that they're understood without great effort. And we envision a linguistically diverse campus in which we may speak English in many ways, but we understand one another and we all feel that we can participate and we're able to contribute the knowledge we have. We also work with English dominant undergraduate students. We offer a workshop called Linguistic Diversity to help them broaden their listening to accept many varieties of English that will serve them well in the future, because we are going to be living and working in a global society. So an undergraduate's education includes meeting people from around the world and learning to listen to them well. So you're an important part of the undergraduate experience. So I hope you interact with each other. Our Center for Teaching Excellence English Language Proficiency Program is open to especially international TAs and to faculty members of all ranks, but it's also open, as space permits, to international graduate students who are not yet TAs. Even the ones who don't plan to be a TA, but they know that when they graduate, they will need to have an oral job interview and they want to do well on that. So as space permits, we can allow international students, both graduate and undergraduate, to join our workshops, and we almost always have space. So our program is mandatory for a few people, and maybe you're in this room because you're one of those people, or you wonder if you're one of those people. So you'll find out soon when I show you a chart. Our program is mandatory for current teaching assistants who are not yet level 1 certified, who are not level 1 based on the university's classification system, which we'll cover soon. Everyone else can take our program optionally at whatever intensity they like, 1 hour a month, 1 workshop a semester. But if you're required to be in our program, you must initiate contact with us and have that diagnostic interview right at the start of the semester, and then work 5 hours a week with our supervision and guidance, following your individual improvement plan until reaching level 1. For everyone else, it's optional. And I want to reassure you, there's no additional cost. The exam, ELPE, has its cost, $45, but again, that's testing services. That's not in our center. Our program is supported by a fraction of the international student fee. You have already paid for it. You might as well use it. Okay, you already paid the fee. All right, so here's a glimpse at some of the things we offer. This might be a good time for you to refer to the flyer. If you're watching this virtually, this flyer comes from our webpage. So if you're online in Zoom watching this, you can just go to our webpage and I'll show you that link. So everything here, you're not missing out. So the front side says how to reach us, where we are. This is one of our former students. And the back has a list of services or resources. The sequence is most exclusive to most open. So the services listed near the top are limited. Preference goes to current teaching assistants. The ones at the bottom are wide open. Undergraduate international students, postdocs, visiting scholars, international graduate students, people who aren't necessarily teaching. And in between, it just depends on the demand. So if you're interested in one of the restricted services, such as you'd like us to come to your classroom and observe you teaching and give you a private feedback later, if you want private consultations, which are like tutoring, if you want to be matched with a US undergraduate student for a conversation partner, then send an email to our address, which is here, CTE@tamu.edu. Stands for Center for Teaching Excellence, CTE, and say, express your interest. For the others, you can go to event registration system or request access to our virtual Google Drive. August is a very busy month. We just did 10 workshops in the last 4 days. So our September workshops are just now getting listed at ERS. If you check back next week, you'll see many, many more. So visit the event registration system, ers.tamu.edu next week to see our full offerings planned for the fall semester. So pronunciation software is one of those that is broadly open. We have a physical location in the building Nagel Hall on the 3rd floor. And we also have a virtual language lab in a Google Drive. If you request access, it will be granted to you within the next business day. Use your Texas A&M credentials to request access to that. Practice groups are a series of 10 workshops designed especially for teaching assistants regarding American English pronunciation, interactive teaching methodology, and useful vocabulary to use when teaching. We invite experienced TAs to come meet you and answer your questions. We invite undergrads to tell you what they really think about TAs and successful interactions in the classroom. And it's a very nice, very mutually respectful dialogue that we have each time we offer this. This series is offered multiple times a year. We're going to offer it starting on September 14th in Zoom, 2 lessons per week for 5 weeks. After the midterm, we'll offer it again in person, 2 lessons a week for 5 weeks. And you can see that if you go to ers.tamu.edu. Actually, it's live now. We checked that this morning. And you can type in English in the search box to filter down to the events that have English in their title, which are usually our events. And after this dismisses, if you're interested, I've got some flyers here for that practice group series. You can read a description of every workshop. These descriptions are in ERS. We also are going to have a presence at the resource fair during lunchtime. So you can find me and my colleagues there, and we'll have lots more handouts there at the resource fair when you're enjoying your nice lunch. Conversation partners are a chance for you to have a 30-minute conversation with an actually a domestic undergraduate student, and using English for 10 weeks. And we provide some topics for conversation that come from the cross-cultural communication field, but you're free to talk about any topics you're interested in. We provide that just so you don't worry, what am I going to talk about for 10 meetings? Some of these turn into very successful friendships. And if you're interested, I should go back. If you're interested in a conversation partnership, you can send an email to cte@tamu.edu and ask for a conversation partnership, or you can scan the QR code. I've got one here, and there will be one at the resource fair table. We do private consultations for current instructors, and we can talk about whatever issue you feel you have, whatever you're facing, whether it's teaching related or pronunciation related or grammar related. And we also do special topic workshops. We'll be doing these each Friday morning this semester. Topics such as an overview of the ELPE, the academic communication skills, such as what language is a very functional and useful when you're leading a laboratory class. Is anybody here going to teach a lab class, like a chemistry lab or something like that? All right. I hope this workshop fits your schedule. And conducting office hours is another example. We will even bring in some US undergrads and do role play simulation of office hours. They're going to come with an issue, a pretend problem to your office hours, and we can practice together. You can invite us to observe your class. And if you want to practice giving a lesson for 5 minutes, we can do so and videotape it and give you feedback. We invite 1 or 2 American undergraduates to join us so you can hear from their perspective what percentage of your words they understood when you gave your micro lesson. Very, very useful feedback. We're going to be hosting weekly lunchtime conversation circles on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays, one online, one in person. I think the in-person one is on Tuesday. These are not yet posted on ERS, but they will be soon. A chance for you to practice your casual conversation. And at the bottom of our landing page, our homepage, we have links. The first link is to additional resources beyond our program in the university and in the community and online. Okay, if you don't reside in the Bryan College Station area, the good news is we have lots available to you. We have a lot of resources online. We do consultations through Zoom. We do some of our workshops in Zoom. We can observe your classroom via Zoom. And one of the lunchtime conversation circles is going to be in Zoom. And some conversation partnerships can be remote. They don't have to be face-to-face or mask-to-mask. And we have software options. So if you are a current TA and you want individual instruction, please send an email. That's the best way to reach out to us. If you want to be involved in lessons, thank you. If you want to be involved in lessons that are in a group setting, ERS, Event Registration System. If you want computer-based instruction, the Virtual Language Lab. And we have a physical language lab. If you want to visit that, then email us to arrange that. Okay. These links are on your handout and on our homepage. Do you have questions right now about the programs and services? If you have a question about eligibility to be a TA or certification or the ELPE, please hold those questions till I show you a few more slides. But do you have questions now about the resources offered here for language development? Yes, please. Okay, good question. The question was, if you have family members who are not on an F1 visa, who are not students or faculty or staff at the university, is there an English program for them? So I would encourage you to go to the last item listed here. If you go to the CTE-ELP's webpage, and that link is at the bottom of the flyer. That link is using the university URL shorthand, u.tamu.edu/CTE-ELP. That's Center for Teaching Excellence English Language Proficiency. That takes you to our landing page. If you scroll to the bottom of that, you will see about 5 links toward the bottom. And the top link in that collection is called Additional Resources. We need to update it because many things closed during the pandemic, but it lists there opportunities on campus. They would probably not be appropriate for family members, but the second section is opportunities off campus in the Bryan College Station community. Some that require tuition and some that are free. You can see a variety there. And then the third section of that list of resources is things you can learn online, self-study. Sure, I hope that answered your question. Other questions about resources? I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you asked that. I meant to include that. Okay, so on to the eligibility to teach at Texas A&M. What does it mean to teach? By definition here, to teach is to have contact with students who are enrolled in a specific course for a grade in which you are a teacher of record or a recitation leader, leading a section that meets to digest the lectures that the professor gives, a lab instructor, a TA that holds office hours, or a TA that grades work and explains the grade to the student. If you're only grading the work and giving the papers back to the professor and letting the professor interface with the students, that may be exempt from the English requirement. But if you are talking to students and trying to explain why they earned the grade they earned, or what part they misunderstood, you're a teacher at that point. So you would be required to be English language proficiency certified. And if your job title in the human resources coding is graduate assistant teaching, graduate assistant instructor, graduate assistant lecturer, graduate teaching fellow, then you also are required to have English language certification. The university does perform an audit in the middle of semesters. So it's best to try to resolve that at the beginning of the semester if you realize, I'm assigned to teach, or I have this in my human resources code, but I'm not level 1 yet. Please reach out to us right away and we will work with you and try to resolve that so that you can, so you can be in good standing and so forth. So when I say certified, I mean level 1. And that means you're eligible to be a TA in terms of language proficiency. If I say level 2, I mean conditionally eligible. You are allowed to be a TA, but only for 1 semester. And during that semester, you're obligated to be in our English language proficiency program, starting at the beginning of the semester and being faithful to invest about 5 hours a week under our guidance. But it's very personalized and very flexible. You're not lumped in with 30 other people taking the same class. No, we do a combination of private consultations and other things that meet your interest and schedule and needs. And we have a very good track record thus far. Thus far, anyone who's level 2 and joins our program within the first 2 weeks of the semester and is faithful to do the 5 hours a week that we prescribe with their consent, they all have reached level 1 by the end of the semester when they retest at the end of the semester. And then they're eligible to continue being a TA, unlimited. So level 3 means ineligible to be a TA. The only exception would be if there are multiple signatures within your department and the graduate and professional school approves an emergency deferral of certification because of some extraordinary extenuating circumstance. That's rare. Okay. So verification is not the same as certification. You all are verified in your English. That was required for admission. So certification is a different question. I'm sorry, those two words are so similar. Okay, so how do you know what level you are? The highest test score that you have officially reported is the one that counts. So maybe you took the TOEFL within the last 2 years before applying, and you got a 26 or higher in the speaking section. Remember, we're just looking at speaking skills, not holistically, not combined score. Or maybe you took the IELTS, or maybe you took the Pearson test of English. Not many people do. There's a new test that was just accepted, but I don't know if any of you have taken it yet. It's the TOEFL Essentials. Raise your hand if you've taken TOEFL Essentials. It's a shorter TOEFL IBT that is adaptive, so it doesn't take as long. We have begun accepting that. That one was accepted for verification, but it's not pertinent to certification because it doesn't give a speaking subscore. It only gives an overall score. So the in-house locally administered Texas A&M exam, the ELPE, is another way to achieve certification. If you have citizenship in one of the countries, English-speaking countries listed at the university's website, or if you earned a bachelor's degree at an accredited US institution while residing here for 4 years, at least 8 semesters, you might qualify for alternative certification. Then you don't need to submit the test score, but your department needs to send this paperwork to the graduate and professional school. These are the approved countries. And if you want to see your test scores, go to Howdy and then My Record, sorry. And then in the grades and transcripts pane, look for My Profile, and then Prior Education and Testing, and then Testing. If you're confused about this, you're not alone. We created a handy tool to help you. Maybe you filled this out already. So if you go to u.tamu.edu/TA-ELP, we will ask you a series of questions to find out, could you possibly qualify for alternative certification? If not, what test scores have you submitted? But if you want to get the official answer, talk to someone who has access to the ELP certification score. Your advisor does, and I get a report once a week. Our office gets a report once a week. So in a private conversation, I could tell you where you stand. So if you want confirmation that you are eligible to be a TA, then you could email me or talk to me at the resource fair. Okay, I've already mentioned requirement for level 2 TAs, what you must do as a condition of your conditional appointment. You are our priority group. We will give you access to our workshops. We'll fit you in because you are the most important group to us because you're already interacting with students. Okay. Do you have questions about eligibility for teaching assignments? No, you can find me at the resource fair if you do. Okay, the ELPE is an oral test administered by Testing Services. Testing.tamu.edu is where you can find a little information about that. It's via Zoom. You can take it outside the US. And there was an overview. Okay, I need to wrap up. For the next 2 weeks, there's a little information that's available online if you're planning to take it within the next 2 weeks. It's about once a month, and you need to read aloud a paragraph that they show you. You need to answer a few everyday questions, and then you need to prepare ahead of time a 5-minute presentation on a topic from your field of study, but make it understandable to a general audience and deliver it somewhat extemporaneously without reading a script. And the only visual aid you're allowed to use is the Zoom digital whiteboard. And there's more information about the ELPE in our overviews. There will be 2 overviews this semester. You can find our overviews on ERS. And you will be judged by your comprehensibility. Okay. if you want to ask me questions about that, I will linger for a minute or two. Make eye contact in the camera and speak slowly and clearly and be organized, give examples. You'll get your results in less than a week through Howdy. And if you're not satisfied, if your score is less than a level 1 score, if you want to request feedback from the raters, you can send a polite email to testing services and tell them, here's my UIN, I took the ELP on this date, and I didn't get a passing score. Could you please pass on the detailed feedback from the raters? And you could learn from that. So, all right, I need to wrap up. Thank you for listening. I will linger here for another minute or two, and you can find me at the resource fair.